So the rugby news at the moment just comes thick and fast, so rather than make even more videos, I'm putting two topics in one here. Predicting an England team for their final match against Argentina, because we've had quite a lot of changes to the England squad today. And also, let's talk about World Player of the Year and World Breakthrough Player of the Year. Those nominations have just come out as well, so I want to address both of those. And I chucked out a poll on World Player of the Year earlier today and actually had quite a lot of responses, more than I thought, so I'm going to go through that as well. But first of all, England, what are they going to do? They're going to want to finish, obviously, 4 out of 4 against a really good Argentina. I mean, they were very impressive the way they came back against Scotland. When they're on, they are so on. The likes of Santi Carreras, Matera, world-class players, and they can absolutely beat England here. England come off the back of a big high beating New Zealand. We can see how that affects certain players. You know, in the Lions tour, came off a big high, winning the actual series and then losing the last game with pretty much the same team. So just putting out the same team doesn't necessarily mean you're going to play just as well, and they have to be right on this or they are going to lose, because like I said, Argentina, a quality outfit. And where do they go? They've had some injuries. Jamie George is injured, which I think pretty much solidifies that Cowan Dickey will start this one. I thought he probably would anyway. And Dan on the bench. They've brought in Blamire as well as cover, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be in the 23. They could well rotate. They could have Genge and Stewart starting. They could have a Poco Fajor involved. But it does seem to work the best way round. They had it against New Zealand with Baxter and Hayes starting. A really solid start, especially Hayes as probably the biggest scrummager. And then the experienced guys coming on, Genge and Stewart. Genge with his explosive nature. So I think I would stick with it, and I think Borthwick might stick with it as well, because there will be changes elsewhere, and you don't want to change too much, but you do want to change a bit. Second row, Chesham is out again, which is a massive shame. So I'm pretty sure it will be Captain Itoje starting with someone which I'm sure will be Alex Coles. They've brought in Yules, they've got Ezekwe, but both of those guys are not to the same level as Itoje and Coles, and I'm pretty sure they'll stick with Cunningham South covering the second row. It's worked so well, so I'm not quite sure why you'd play Yules and Ezekwe, so I think that's how it's going to go. The back row is really interesting. They could absolutely change it up here, although it's been working perfectly. Pepper has been doing all that hard work. He seems to be integral to how England are playing, but definitely their line-out has been an issue. Do they put Cunningham South in that back row to give them another taller line-out forward? That is definitely possible. Underhill has been maybe England's best player. God, I've never seen him play so well, especially his ball carrying. Fantastic. We know he hits like a train. And Earl's been integral as well. So I'm going to say they actually stick the same, and they actually stay with Pepper, Underhill and Earl. It's just working so well. And with Cunningham South, Tom Curry and Pollock on the bench, it's just so good. I don't think you want to muck around with it. In the half-backs, you would say that George Ford deserves to start. The way he dragged England back into that game with the drop goals, then making the attack click is fantastic, but you want to get minutes into the other guys as well. I think all three players, all three tens are good players, and does Marcus Smith deserve a start? Yes, he probably does. Do you need to get minutes into Finn Smith and try and get him up to the same standard as reliability as George Ford? Yes, you probably do. So I think they will actually do it. George Ford has been talking about doing what's best for the team, and I think Finn Smith makes a start. Now, centre-wise, England have to make a change because Ollie Lawrence is out, which is a massive shame because it would have been great to start Dingwall and Lawrence again, and now the dynamics are all mucked up. The attributes are all mucked up because, of course, Lawrence is your power man. So do you get some more power in there somehow? Well, it's a bit tricky because the other like for like, I guess, would have been Tommy Freeman, but he's injured. Do you slot in an Elliot Daly maybe? But I don't quite see why you'd do that over Slade, or maybe even a Jomo. So I think Slade slots in there. I think it kind of makes sense. It definitely depowers the midfield. It's incredibly skillful with lots of rugby nous, and I think Slade can catch up incredibly quickly. And because of Lawrence being out, I think they definitely don't change Dingwall anyway. So I think they'll go Dingwall and Slade. And then what do you do in the back three? Because you've got your two big high ball guys out, the two big experienced high ball guys anyway, Roebuck and Freeman, which mucks up your balance. You know, it would seem to say that Henry Arundel was the next cab off the rank with Faye Waboso and Henry Arundel starting, which is incredibly exciting, and they could do that, and they're very keen in the air, but they're nowhere near as proficient as Freeman and Roebuck. Or do you start Noah Kalore and have your high ball guy alongside one of the speed guys? But goodness me, to start that youngster straight away against Argentina at the end of November, I don't think it's a good idea. I've been watching Kalore very carefully for that Saracens game where he was absolutely amazing, scored a bucket of tries, ruled the airways, he was awesome. Hasn't quite lived up to that so far, and I think he will need just a year or two. So I don't actually really see the benefit of starting Noah Kalore. You've got Murley there as well, but he's a speed guy. So I think you just go for it and go with the speed of Arundel and Fewabusu. They can absolutely chase kicks because of their speed. They haven't got the height, but they've got a good jump. So go with that. Plus, with two shorter wingers, I think you'd go for Freddie Stewart anyway, meaning Marcus Smith would go to the bench and George Ford drops out because Marcus Smith covers more positions. And I wonder if he'll go Spencer or Quirk. He might go Quirk, but I'm just thinking he sticks with Ben Spencer on this one because there's been some changes to the back line already and you don't want to make too many. So that's the way I'm saying he's going to go, but it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what happens, especially with a lot of enforced changes as well. Then let's go to the nominees for Men's Player of the Year, Men's Breakthrough Player of the Year as well. Let's start with the breakthrough player. The four nominees are Holland, Ethan Hooker, Henry Pollock and Joseph Akusu Soalihi. And I've seen plenty of people say, why isn't Sasha Feinberg Mngomezulu there as well? Maybe he should be in the actual top category of Men's Player of the Year, full stop. But I think it's because he was nominated last year, although this year probably would have been a more of a breakthrough year, actually, a better year for him to be nominated. So that's probably why, but a bit of harsh, he's not on any of them. Other people saying also that Ardie Surveyor maybe should be on Men's Player of the Year, and he always deserves Player of the Year, always deserves to be on a list, but he's not this time, and dominated there by South Africans because they've been the best team in the world. But let's have a look at the poll for breakthrough player before I make my decision, and thank you very much for voting. It wasn't out for very long, so Holland, Hooker getting some votes, Pollock running away with it, but that's probably because most of my guys voting are English, and Joseph Akusu Soalihi as well with 11%. So let's talk about Henry Pollock because you can't not. He is incredibly confident, charismatic, a bit arrogant, yeah, probably, but he owns it. He's very genuine. England fans love him and other fans probably love to hate him, and that's just how it's going to be, and it's going to be awesome. He's certainly broken through this year, but he hasn't been a starter. He wasn't a starter for the Lions, really. He isn't a starter for England, although an important role. So you could argue there that, yes, he's broken onto the scene this year, but it's not like he's starting every match, playing a stack of minutes. So I think that's something to think about. Holland has been a starter and has been a player that New Zealand have really needed, and he stepped up the big man there. Now a starting second row, so that's a definite breakthrough. Hooker, I would say, hasn't fully broken through yet. We've seen his talent, but no, he's not saying I have to be in the 23 every time. But to be honest, I'm tempted to go with Soalihi because he has fully broken through into that team. I know he started playing for Australia at the end of last year, but he's now a go-to guy at 13. They've moved him to 13, had a really good Lions tour. Maybe he's fallen off a touch, but then all the Wallabies have a bid as well. So I know a lot of people have gone for Pollock, but I think I'd actually go for Soalihi as he is a main man for Australia now and fully broken through and a world star. Then let's have a look at this poll for Men's Player of the Year 2025. I haven't actually looked at it so far. Here it goes. BL Barry with 28%. He is an amazing player, great in the Six Nations, unplayable at times. His speed is ridiculous. He doesn't look that big and strong, but goodness me, he absolutely stands up to every test, high ball, and obviously finishing is phenomenal. And then we have the three South Africans, three veterans who have just had a brilliant year, showing there's absolutely life in these guys yet. Peter Steph-Toy 21%, Malcolm Marks 8%, Oxenche 42 with the most votes. And it's a shame that Unche has been injured at the end of the year as well, but he's just been kind of the best proper round, absolutely amazing. But do you know what? I'm giving it to the guy with the least amount of votes. I think Malcolm Marks has been phenomenal for South Africa. He's had a bit of a resurgence. In the past, he'd kind of been a sub. Of course, that's an important role, but now he's the main man, playing as well as he ever has, scoring stacks of tries, big plays, big turnovers. I'm giving it to Malcolm Marks, but of course, absolutely any of these guys is deserving. So yeah, maybe a little controversial there. Malcolm Marks for my Men's Player of the Year. I think that would be very popular. But do let me know who you think should win it and why, and who else should be on these lists. Anyway, guys, let me know all those comments down below. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, that would be awesome. And share the video with someone else. That really helps as well. And I'll catch you next time.